See, normally, when you hear the word rivers, you might associate that with a body of water, whether it be the Amazon, the Nile, or even the Mississippi River. When you think of rivers in basketball, think about Doc, former player and head coach, or you even think about his son Austin. But in Chicago, the last name Rivers holds some weight. In a city filled with great talented hoopers, one bloodline in particular held some weight. Meet the Rivers triplets, Kenwood Academy. Yes, you heard that right. Not just twins. It's three of them. Carmelo, Kayvon, and Kashawn. And look, the year is 2022, going into the 22-23 season, and these juniors had the city going up. Between these three, Kenwood looked to be a dangerous threat when it came time for the state finals. These young NBA prospects were flying all over the gym. Despite Whitney Young winning the state championship last season, Kenwood Academy had a lot of people turning their heads. And as for me, I ain't never been scared in my life. But Kenwood Academy is coming to Whitney Young to start my sophomore season. The gang is back. And just like that, my sophomore season is commenced. But for Zach and Tayvion, it's their last go around. The only thing on their mind is going back to back on state titles. We got some new faces in the starting lineup now. We got transfer Denzel Brooks at the center position, a junior with some facial hair. And the other big man, Purdy Bryant, was going to hold it down this year after being on the bench all last year. Then there's me, holding that bench spot down once again. But this time, I'm looking to get some serious minutes off it. Shoot, I'll even be the 6th man of the year if they had that award in high school. But starting the game off, we playing the aforementioned triplets of Kenwood, and they came into our house, meaning business. Thankfully, my boy Zach was primed and ready to go for his senior season. Look, for Zach, this was huge. He didn't get the same offers as Tayvion has already. So this season meant a lot to him. And it meant a lot to the triplets early on as well, as they were dominating our posts. And as for Amir, my fellow sophomore, he didn't have the greatest of starts. And his dad, Coach Watts, couldn't wait to yell at him. Meanwhile, Kenwood was running it all down our throats in the paint, talking about free, easy baskets and dunks. That's the one thing we missed from last season is our height. Eventually though, my boy Amir got it together. This game turned into a track meet, talking dunk after dunk after dunk, and this move right here put my boy Purdy Bryant on the floor. And on the bench, it took everything in me not to laugh, so I had to look up at the sky. Then it hit me. I'm about to check in the game soon, so I gotta be locked in and pay attention. And on offense for us, it was all Zach. The senior came out ready to go, like he had a point to prove, and I know he did. My brother Tayvion was getting all the looks, and he was a no-show early. But Amir, shoot, he got his act together as well. So it was my surprise, but Coach already was checking me into the game late in the end of the first quarter. In a highly competitive game, he took his son out for some rest, allowed me to get some action. And I'm stepping onto the court for the first time in my sophomore season looking to not disappoint. So I make the smart basketball play and feed the hot hand to Zach. And I'm telling y'all, bro, this man Zach was in his bag. All he meant was business. And as on defense, we finally got our act together in the paint. As my boy Denzel got a crucial block, he pushed the break, found Purdy cutting to the basket, and just like that, we were putting that state final pressure defense on him. But guys like DB weren't even here for that. So he transferred in from South Carolina, and he's just looking to make an impact in Chicago so we can hope to get some big time offers. And as for the rest of the guys, hey, this is our season. We know that we lost Kiante and some other guys in the lineup, but guys like Tayvion are looking to make a point that they can carry the load now. Between him and Zach, we're going to be looking at them to make big time plays like that all season. And as our defense was picking up, our offense was doing the exact same thing. As the ball was moving and smoothing, and with steals, fast break opportunities, everybody ate. And see me? I didn't care too much about scoring too much. I just wanted to make the smart basketball plays early on in the season so I can keep getting my minutes up. I know coach is a stickler, he's old school. So the more I made the best plays, the more I stay on the court. And as for my brother, he had already proven himself as one of the best guards in the country. And he's getting ready to make his college announcement soon, so be on the lookout. Meanwhile, the triplets were starting to take over this game and get the team right back into it. Look, we had established an early lead in the first and second quarter, but before halftime, the three hermanos were dominating. And finally, somebody else on their team decided to get to the basket and get a layup. Coach had to call a timeout immediately and lock us back in. And I'll admit, if there's one weakness on our team right now, it's that paint. We don't have the big size that we had last year, but guys like Denzel and Purdy will have to step up big time. Denzel was already making a big impact in this first game. I'm talking about straight up lockdown defense. Look at this right here, putting pressure on the ball handler and then sprinting out for the cherry pick and slamming it home. With the energy high, I decided to take my moment. I had one of the Rivers triplets on me. He forgot his defensive assignment and left me, so I pulled for the mid-range shot that I've been practicing. Nothing but net. And just like that, my first points of sophomore season are in the books, a huge weight off my chest. While the competitor in me wanted to go for another bucket, I decided to play smart basketball. Psych, I took it straight to the basket for the lay, left-handed, showing my bag work a little bit. Just like that, 4 points in a row before halftime. When my brother Tayvion having the ball, he knew when I was in that mode, so he decided to run a play where I set a screen and popped out for the easy mid-range shot and gave me 6 in a row. But look, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, these were my only 6 points of the game. See, the way the game shook out, we just had too many mouths to feed on the court. But regardless, I ended the game with a W. While I was on the bench sitting next to coach, he told me to keep going at it. I told him I got you. After a big time win in our first game, later on in the week, my brother announced his surprise commitment to The Ohio State University in a Buckeye Nation. Y'all about to get a dog. My brother's looking to take over for the class of 2023. But hey, this year's just getting started, and we can't lose focus of the task at hand. Our biggest game of the season to date took us across Lake Michigan to Detroit, where we played Michigan's best team, Union Technical Academy. And this team was loaded, even more loaded than we are technically on paper. And I'm talking about they had 3 stars, 4 stars, not to mention 5-star DeMarcus Cobo in the starting lineup. So for us, it was going to be important that we got off to a fast start. And if we wanted to have any chance not only in this game but this season, my boy Amir was going to have to be a dog at the point guard position. And early on in this game, he set the tone. He popped out, left wide open for 3. I'm talking about a bucket from 3 to start the game off for everybody. And early on, we came out like gangbusters on enemy territory. We pulled up to Union and got active. I'm talking about Tayvion was finally making his mark and reminding people why he's the best guard in the state and possibly in the nation. And on defense, our guys were fully aware of what was going on in the paint. And this time, we put the pressure right back on them. And after getting off to an early 8-0 lead, best believe Union came right back, started sparking themselves, and this turned into a dogfight. Hey, not every shot was going to go in off the rip, but it was all about hustle and determination. Speaking of that, my brother Tayvion got up for both offensive rebounds right here and finally decided to do it himself. See, my bro out there gave me some confidence, and I was ready for my turn to get into action. Maybe I wasn't, because DeMarcus Cobo, 5-star senior on Union, not only came up with the block on the defensive end, but the putback dunk on offense. They highlighted our problem once again: size. Their big men were destroying our big men. It was just that simple. That was something we were going to have to deal with all season. I'm talking about they were having a picnic in the paint. Easy putbacks all the time. So it was up to our offense to dictate the way this game was going to go. And early on, our offense was moving like NBA pros. So was theirs. Nobody could be left open. Speaking of which, DeMarcus just took it right to Amir, got the and one, and hyped the crowd up. Look, it was no doubt this game was going to have to come down to the wire, but nothing prepared me for this play right here. My bro Amir got a steal at half court, and he would throw a lob. My brother Tayvion would go up with the craziest dunk I've ever seen in game. I'm talking about a reverse alley-oop slam with one hand after catching it with 2. Man, I can't lie to y'all, that had the whole stadium shook. I'm talking about everybody got up out their seats and all, including me. Of all the great things I've seen my brother do, I think it really started to hit me that he's got a one-of-a-kind talent. He was already off to one of his best games of his career early with 18 in the first quarter. But Ray Burnett quickly reminded all of us that this was going to be a dogfight. It was like nobody wanted to let the foot off the gas early. It was like we were playing for an NBA title, bro. At the end of the first quarter, coaching staff called a much-needed timeout to give everybody a rest. And I was getting ready to check into the game after the timeout. So in the huddle, I was making sure I knew exactly what to do so I didn't slow our momentum down. Speaking of that, on the very next offensive possession, I decided to go for a mid-range shot, and I missed it. You know, I'm going to get back on defense and shake it off, but I couldn't shake this off. As Tayvion, my brother, got dunked on hard by Ray Burnett Jr. And this kind of changed the mood of the game. And I couldn't buy a bucket at all. I ain't going to lie to you guys. And I could feel my confidence slowly diminishing. Thing about basketball, it's a game of runs, and Union was starting to make theirs. And it was impactful. I'm talking about they were getting behind the back, up and under circus layups to go. That's how you knew the game was shifting. Ricardo Knowles made a crazy layup, and after some cheap fouls, our momentum was just all out of whack. Not to mention, coach put me right back on the bench, and I had to sit there and watch and sit in my anguish. By the time I checked back into the game, it was the second half, and we were losing. Coach told me to go be a spark plug, so I got the ball and immediately went for an easy post fade off the glass. Missed it. Can't make it up. And on the other side, DeMarcus Jacobo just ran straight through Tayvion and got to the basket. And this game was going from bad to worse, as this alley-oop attempt was crazy. And I'm talking about Ray Burnett got up so high, he could have smacked the light. That dunk right there turned our lights off, as Union ended up blowing us out by over 20 points. And all we could do was sit on the bench and anguish and watch and know coach was going to light into us when we got home. And on the bus ride, just staring out the window realizing it's going to be a long season. And what made the season even longer was coach. During school that week, he called me into his office and I didn't know what for, so I came in a little tense. I said, "Yo, coach, what's good?" He said, "Let me sit down and talk to you, young fella. I've been talking with the coaching staff. We decided we might want to send you back down to JV." I instantly say, "Coach, what?" Look at this about the Union game. I know I played bad, but I could make up for it. I've been practicing. I've been working hard. He cut me off and said, "Son, we just don't know if you're ready for this big time stage yet. But look, I'm going to give you one more game to prove yourself against MLK. Prove us wrong, you stay. But if you don't, you know what it is." I said, "All right, coach," and left his office. With the pressure of my spot on varsity looming over me, this game against MLK meant everything. MLK was a school we played every year, so this wasn't a big deal for us. But for me, this game meant the world. I know JV isn't a bad thing, but listen, once you got a taste of a state championship, a taste of varsity, you don't want to give that up. And early on in this game, it was status quo. Look, Union was dogs, I would give them that. But in the state of Illinois, we run it. So nobody intimidated us in our own state. As for early on in this game, Tayvion was giving it straight to him. I'm talking about buckets after buckets after buckets, so much so, they had to call a timeout. And while the fate of the game really wasn't in question, the fate of my status was. So in every huddle, every timeout, I was locked and dialed in just like everybody else. We were all trying to bounce back from that Union game, no doubt. So coach had everybody's attention. That practice we had after that loss was brutal. Nobody wanted to go through that ever again. Coach was dropping gems as usual. And as for me, I knew I was getting ready to check into the game at some point. While I was getting coached up by the assistant, my mind was racing all over the court. I'm sitting there staring out, wondering what I'm getting ready to do when I step foot on that hardwood. Basketball's supposed to be fun, but this pressure was different. But sure enough, I got on the court, my mind went blank. I almost forgot what play we were running. I was dribbling in place like a robot. Sure enough, I finally remembered, and once I tried to get in my bag, I got ripped. Thankfully, my brother was there to save the day and score a bucket off him. And that saved me from a turnover. And on the next possession, I decided not to let that sink in and get an easy dime for an assist. And once again, playing my role. Maybe I'm not the type of guy that's gonna go out and get you 25 a night, clearly. But this game, it meant everything. I put this crazy floater in the sky, and once it came down in the basket, I knew I might have had something going, so I took advantage. I started cooking the defender. Got me 4 straight buckets. At this point, I realized I got nothing to lose. Listen, coach is ready to put me back on JV. Or maybe he's using this as reverse psychology. Maybe he knew I needed a push in the right direction, some extra motivation. And after all, I'm basically the 6th man on this team. And halfway throughout this game, it started to sink in that they needed me just as much as I needed them. For me and Amir, this team is going to be ours over the next 2 years after this year. The coaching staff was looking to see if me and Amir could really be the future of this team after Tayvion and Zach leave. It will mean nothing more for me to carry on the Cole legacy. Yeah, Whitney young. So on the next possession, I got a steal, and on the fast break, found my man's DB cutting to the basket for the easy layup. Coach, I actually looked happy for one time. He actually looked proud of me, and that got me motivated. On the offensive end, I was looking like a real point guard. I had some buckets, had some dimes. I don't know what the coach's decision will be, but in my own head, I felt comfortable. I felt confident. I felt like I had that glow. Neither my brother was getting ready to check back into the game. For me, I said, let me leave with a parting gift. I dropped a mid-range bucket off, not to mention my great defense forced a shot clock violation. And as I walked back to the bench, I celebrated. I knew I did my job to a T. I dapped the guys up on the way back, sat down, enjoyed the fruits of my labor. I gave it my all out there. I got over 10 points, which is a career high for me, not to mention some assists. While I was on the bench, awaiting my fate, I calmed down and enjoyed the show. Watching my guys hoop, was like watching poetry in motion. At this point, we were running all over MLK. And to put the finishing touches on it, my boy Zach went up for the jelly jam finger roll like a beauty. We ended up running all over MLK. And as for me, I didn't see the court again, of course, but me and my guys, this was a game that was going to help us set the tone for the rest of the season. And while my fate was looming over me, the guys on the team kept me dialed in. They were talking to me as if I was going to be a mainstay on this team. After the game, coach called me to his office once again, told me, son, you proved me wrong. You're here to stay. I was going to win this championship. I said, all right, bet, coach, trying to contain my excitement. But deep down inside, I was overcome with happiness and emotion. And just like that, I became a varsity sixth man for the rest of the season. Throughout the year, we were dominating, but I spent time in the gym with Tayvion and Amir. Mostly before and after every home game, we'll get some shots up, work on our bag work. Eventually, I knew I had to start dunking or trying to learn how to dunk more. But for right now, I'm gonna leave that up to Amir and Tay. For me, I'm just trying to clean up my shot and my layup package. And it was working. And at this point, we were running through the city on our way to another state final. Before that, I remember this one game we had against Marshall Catholic. Everybody was cooking. Of course, it starts with Tay. My dog Amir had it as well. The chemistry between Tay and Amir was underrated. They were both on the same page at all times, which was crucial to our success. And I wish that was me out there with my own brother. I couldn't even hate, because when I checked into the game, I knew I came with it too. This particular game, there was a guard on their team named Melon Newell. I don't really know too much about him, but I know he can get to the basket and get buckets. So when I checked into the game, that was my matchup. The one thing that we have been struggling with all season is the inside of the paint. We can't really get too many stops down there because of our size, but no matter what, we're going to attack the basket on our end. And right here, my brother found me for a fast break layup like a thing of beauty. As our folks would say, big T to little T. It's a family affair. And after Kiante won the award last year, it looked like my brother was about to be Mr. Illinois basketball. But this move I did right here had me feeling out of my body. I snatched it back, had the defender lost, and it was too late for him to contest. I pulled up for the three on a dime, buried it. All them games I've been playing against my brother all my life was starting to pay off in the big time. That's one of those things I didn't even know I had till I did it. The one thing I had to work on personally was at the free throw line. I was fighting battles on that line all year, and I knew it was gonna come back to haunt me at some point if I didn't clean it up. Regardless, in games like this, I just got the buckets where I could as usual. Throughout the season, this was my role. Come in, fill the spot, get to it. No questions asked. And for us, we closed out our regular season in style, dominating fashion. What's next was run to state title again. First, I went home to watch my big bro, Kiante, playing at Villanova. And listen, I haven't been able to watch every game this year. I've been trying to though. But as this college season was coming to an end, I realized that they turned him into a point guard out there. They had him handling the rock, bringing the ball up the court, and doing what he do best, attacking that basket. And I heard the announcers even say that Kiante is a projected lottery pick. My boy's gonna really make it out and be in the league. But in the meantime, we're heading into March. We got business to take care of. It's the end of February. In Chicago, it's snowing hard. It's cold, shivering. But that means it's about time for the state finals and the tournament. And as for us, I mean, it's time to lock in. The new bunch of guys in the starting lineup and rotation, we had to make sure we were all on the same page when it was go time. So my brother Tayvion called us up out of the blue before school. It's crazy, ain't it? We all wearing our uniforms. My boy Purdy got glasses on. But he called us up and told us let's get some running before we head to class. So we went to our YMCA across the street. Got to it. We took all our coats off, grabbed the ball, got straight to action. And as for this particular 3v3, it was me, it was Purdy, and it was Zach versus Tay, Amir, Denzel. It was a super unexpected 3v3 session, but we were still going at each other's throats. And so we only had about 30 or so minutes before class. We were out there hooping like we had all the time in the world. For Tay and Zach, the two seniors, they were going at each other's throats. I'm talking about if you just walked into the gym, didn't know they were tight, you thought they was beef. They were talking trash, but at the same time, they were giving each other work. This is how iron sharpens iron. For Zach, I told y'all, he feels like he doesn't get as much look and shine as Tay does. But he doesn't voice it as much. You can just tell by his demeanor and the way he carries himself that he takes this too seriously. Matter of fact, he hit my brother with this crazy contested three in his khakis. Insane work, right? Man, these two were going at it for like 5 minutes on the court. But finally, Tay missed a shot, and Zach was right there to cherry pick for the dunk. He let out a scream and let it be known that he's him. I don't know if Tay took too kindly to all that. You know, it's basketball, man. Stuff like that happens on the court. When we dogs, they gonna bark, we gonna yell. We gonna scratch and claw. For me and Amir, it was time to sharpen our iron as well. So I took it to him and got a bucket. And I started feeling some type of way. I beat my brother off the dribble and rise up and dunked it. For the first time ever, I dunked the ball. Everybody was shocked, including me. I had to yell out a scream and a yell and beat my chest. For the first time, I really felt like I had it. That move right there even shocked Tay. And he looked at me like he was proud of me. That's all I really wanted. Once again, back in state final. 2023, we're looking to go back to back, but this time with some new faces in the starting lineup from last season. My dog Amir has held it down at the point guard position all year. For Zach Bryson, he's headed off to Delaware State after this basketball game in HBCU. For Tayvion, he made the announcement to commit to Ohio State. For these two, it'll be nice to leave off on back-to-back state titles. But guys like Denzel Brooks seeking his first. And he joined his team with one goal in mind. And he's playing in the goal right here. For Purdy, my dog was riding the bench all last season. But now he's making an impact. And on the other side, we face some Morgan Park. Got some dogs on their side. Obviously, they wouldn't be here without it. They got a premier big man at Otto Williams. Not to mention some dogs in the wings. The guy that we most concerned about happens to be a familiar face. Yeah, Darius Johnson, the kid from the park, that's him. He led this Morgan Park team to the final. And if anything, me and Amir already knew the scouting report on him, but coach reminded us not to let him get going out of anybody on the team. At the beginning of this game, start with status quo. They fed their big fella, we fed Tay. Normal. But after that, Darius Johnson started to feel himself. He took Amir to the woodshed early on with his mid-range bucket, scoring right over him and talking crazy. And now in the transition, this man was rising up and punching it. And despite coach's game plan, it was all going out the window as the one-on-one matchup with him and Amir was barbecue chicken. Matter of fact, he was cutting it to the basket and getting the and one with ease. Rolling on the ground, laughing, smiling, talking crazy. My dog Amir was looking lost out there. He was getting cooked, fried, sauteed. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. A little pit started to go on my stomach. See, Amir was my dog and I hated seeing him get done like this. To make matters worse, he would commit a turnover after Darius Johnson poked the ball away, and in transition, he tried to draw a charge and flop. And DJ hit him with a crazy Euro step with a lay. Just there lied my boy Amir on the ground, kinda looking foolish. Meanwhile, DJ was pleading for a foul. He didn't get it, but regardless, he went the other way and was already off to an amazingly blistering start. And regardless of how Amir was playing, I didn't know how I was gonna stop him either. But finally, offense started to finally wake up. My boy Zach does what he does best. Gets the team going, make the smart plays. So were they. I'm talking about baskets galore. I finally would check into the game in the first quarter after Amir had to hit the bench because he couldn't keep up Darius. And for me, I had to keep a level head and stay on my assignment. Not help off. Stay locked in. Make sure I don't get cooked, because ain't nobody else after me and Amir. And in this possession, I was playing textbook, sitting down, keeping my eye on his chest, but then I got hit by a screen. Thankfully, Darius cooled off and missed the three. Lucky enough for me. And in the other way, I thought about pulling that three, but I made the smart decision to find DB and cutting inside for the basket. Just like that, calm, cool, collected, just making the smart plays and smart reads. I ain't gonna lie, Morgan Park had a vendetta. They were out there getting it to it in the fast break. And once again, I'm surprising myself a little bit by playing lockdown defense on Darius, but the possession ain't over. He gets the ball right back, and he takes it right through my chest and blows by me for the easy left-handed layup. At that point, I didn't know what to do about that. I just had to let it go. The only problem is, bro, as a competitor, I don't get the same opportunity on offense to come right back. I just gotta play my role, whether that's in the corner or handling the ball. At the end of the first quarter, the play was for Tayvion to get the last shot, but he kicked it out to me. And with 2 seconds on the clock, I had no choice but to pull up for three, and I buried it. and I hit the buzzer beater at the end of the first quarter in the state championship game, right over Darius in his face. And I couldn't help but be excited and happy and celebrate a little bit. But I had to get real back in because I realized it's going to be an uphill climb and a mountain. It was far from over with. That just gave me huge confidence, and my brother couldn't help but smile in the moment. That shot gave us a shot in the arm for the second quarter, and I stayed on the court. As a matter of fact, not only did I stay on the court, I attacked on the court, got to the basket, and drew a foul. Here lies the problem: the free throw line. I don't know what the problem was. When I get to the line, it's like my knees get weak. My arms start shaking. Next thing you know, I'm just off. Guys are trying to encourage me and cheer me on, but I'm leaving points on the line because I went 1 for 2. The other side of the court, it don't matter who was in front of Darius at this point. He was getting to the basket, finishing through contact, and getting to the free throw line as well. But despite Darius's buckets in the second quarter, it was ours. We found ourselves pulling away, and I found myself playing my role to a T. Matter of fact, on this possession right here, I blocked Darius' shot out of bounds, and I felt it. I got hyped. Defense might really be my calling card, and I'm gonna embrace it. And as for the offense, the ball was moving swiftly. Baskets were becoming easier. It didn't take us too long to figure out their defense. We just kept attacking the basket. Our threes weren't going early, so why not get the easy shots? Speaking of easy shots, it's nothing more easy than a free throw for others. For me, I was feeling like Shaq. I finally went 1 out of 2 again. And after a run, coach called a timeout. And obviously pulled me back on the bench to give Amir some burn at the end of the second quarter, going into the third. While I didn't get a ton of points, I made my presence felt, and I couldn't wait to get back on the court. At the beginning of the third quarter, my brother took a page out of my book, playing some great defense, coming back down the court, and scoring an easy layup. And our lead just started to go up and up, as Morgan Park couldn't buy a bucket. At one point, we were approaching the fourth quarter, the lead stretched out to 20. I'm talking about buckets were being had, and as we started the fourth quarter, we were having the ball. We could smell that ring, and as for Darius, he knew if he wanted a shot at any shot at winning this, he was had to give it his all in this fourth quarter. So it started off pulling from 3 after miscommunication on the screen. Matter of fact, he was not done. He pulled another 3 right in Amir's face. Momentum is a scary thing. They say basketball is a game of runs. Darius was on a 6-0 run and flew past Amir to make it 8 with a crazy slam dunk and a fast break. And after that, he followed it up with a crazy left-handed layup over traffic to make it a 10-0 run. Just like that, Morgan Park was right back in the ball game. Coach is old school. He the type to not even call a timeout until it's dire straits. But after another empty possession on our end, Darius came right back. Instead of shooting it, found big man Williams in the paint for a score to make it a 12-0 run. Coach finally had to call a timeout, stop the bleeding. And as for Amir, he just didn't have it together this game. It's unfortunate after a great season started. But for Darius and Morgan Park, they might have smelled blood in the water, and they're ready to strike. So they got this lead back down. It was imperative that we came out of the timeout fully aware of what's going on and ready to go. And I tried my hardest to stay locked in and paid attention, not knowing if I was going to get in the game or not. But Amir, that's my dog, and I had full confidence that he would get it together. Regardless, it didn't matter what confidence I had, because Morgan Park had the utmost confidence, swagger, and attitude. They continued to push the issue. The coach was beside himself, yelling, screaming, throwing his fist. I have never seen coach act like this in a game before. I usually only see this in practice. Coach was pissed off and couldn't believe what he was seeing out of us. So much so that I couldn't believe what was about to happen. He looked at his son Amir and started shaking his head. Amir, he just didn't have it. After this move by Darius, cooked him, fried him, had him lost, and pulled for the 3. My goodness. And just like that, that big lead we had was no more. And that was all that coach needed to see. My dog Amir was shaking out of his boots, sweating hard. It just didn't seem like he had his confidence together. So coach pointed at me, said, "Get in." So I took that walk, got to the scores table, and mentally got myself together before I stepped foot on the court. As I jogged into the game with less than 2 minutes left, I started to feel that pressure immediately. The air was getting thick. Regardless, I had one objective: maintain my composure, find Tay, play smart. Well, I dumped it down low to Tay, and he finished with a crazy left-handed dunk inside the paint that stretched the lead a little bit and gave us some breathing room. Speaking of breathing room, I gave none of that to Darius on the defensive end. I was all over him, making sure I didn't foul him, but make sure I didn't let my eyes off him for 1 second. Thanks to that lockdown defense and prohibiting him from getting the ball, we forced a shot clock violation after this block. And as we got the ball right back, I had to make a smart decision again with the basketball in my hand. Not forcing it, but this time making an easy dump down low to Tay once again for a dunk. Just like that, I checked into the game, played my part and did my role. And my brother could smell that championship coming. But we only up by 6 with about less than a minute left, so we have to keep it going, play smart on defense. And that's exactly what we did. Between me and Tay, we had the perimeter locked up. I was all over Darius, not giving him any breathing space, not letting him out my sight, and making him give up the basketball. With the shot clock winding down, they gave it right back to Darius, and just when I thought I had everything secured, that man pulled in, hit a 3 to cut the lead to 3. And on the next possession, I found Tay come to the basket, and he got blocked and forced a jump ball. Just like that, they won the tip. Much to our surprise, Darius and company had the ball down 3 with less than 30 seconds. And I was playing the defense of my life up to this point. And I had to keep it for the next possession, maybe one last possession, secure us the dub. And I'm all over him. And as the shot clock is winding down, I forced him to take a contested 2 and he missed it. Just like that, I grabbed the rebound, get fouled, and they had to get one more foul to get us to the free throw line. And out of desperation, Zach threw the ball to me of all people. So it was time for me to step up, knock down some free throws to win this game. At a 3-point lead, if I just hit one, this game is pretty much over. With the pressure of the world on my shoulders, I take my dribbles, put up my first free throw. Well, first free throw off, my eyes starting to get a little wider, palms a little sweaty. If I just hit this one free throw, we stay champions. If not, I'm leaving the door open for Darius and company to send this game into OT. My heart beating out his chest and everybody in Chicago watching over. It's my time to prove myself. Here goes nothing.